Hey guys, it's Daniel with another perspective. So today, Joe Biden might want a very interesting person to be his running mate. And before I get into it, let's have him tell us ourselves.
Where are you in naming that running mate? And will you commit that that person would be a woman of color?
No, I'll commit that it be a woman because I think it's very important that that my administration look like the public, look like the nation.
He wants a candidate that looks like the nation. Isn't that the line that you give when you say you want someone of color, at least in the Democratic circles? Because again, it's kind of being made clear by Joe Biden's campaign. He needs a woman. Does she have to be qualified? No, it just has to be a woman. It's annoying because it's like the right answer should be I want the most qualified person who happens to be a woman, who happens to be a woman of color, who has distinguished themselves and proven themselves to the people, not like an Amy Klobuchar type, not like a what's her name, Kamala Harris type. You want someone that can expand your reach to the country. A good example might be someone like Nina Turner, who we will never name, never even talk about, never even acknowledge. But Nina Turner would be helpful. It would get more progressives to think about supporting Biden. Might actually push him over the edge. But no, look at who he's talking about.
And I committed there will be a woman of color on the Supreme Court. Doesn't mean there won't be a vice president as well.
Again, you can't use women like playing cards. You can't use skin color like a playing card. Look at me, I have this black woman I put over here, and I have this white woman, or this other color woman I put over here. If you don't have a specific person and you're just doing that, you're just pandering to the worst of us. Because if that exact thing was changed and it was, I want a man, I would have just as much issue. Because it's not about demographics. Demographics are important for representation. Don't want to take away from that. And there should be naturally more representation, but it needs to be based on merit. The real problem is it's the culture. You know why I didn't like Hillary Clinton? Was it because she was a woman? No, it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with her being a terrible politician, or I guess conversely, a great politician, depending on your point of view and how you look at corruption. But in a weird way, for a woman like Hillary Clinton to reach that rank, she has to enter the fold as a terrible, corrupt person who will do anything to get power and even ratchet up a level above men because there's gender discrimination. I don't doubt that at all. I don't deny that at all. But if you really think about it, for a woman to then match a man in a discriminatory field, she has to do more. She has to sell herself out more than a guy would to represent. So, yeah. And do we really think that if Biden appoints a black woman as a Supreme Court justice, that that woman will help black women? I guess that's what we're going at. No, that does not mean that at all. It probably means she's a corporatist shill who will do what big money donors tell her to do. And there you have it. Remember, Gorsuch, the guy that Obama didn't even appoint because he was too scared to go up against McConnell, that led to Gorsuch, whatever their names are, on the Supreme Court. Was it Kavanaugh? Was it Kavanaugh? Whatever. They're all basically the same person to me. We traded out one corporate sellout for another corporate sellout. That's it.
In terms of who to pick, we've just beginning the process. We shortly be announcing the committee I've named to review this and to begin to look through the backgrounds of the various potential nominees, and that's just getting underway.
I've heard some speculation about Michelle Obama as vice president.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. Michelle Obama was first lady. She was a lawyer. She's accomplished. I'm not taking that away from her. But she has no political expertise. And I was under the impression that, I don't know, for the last 4 years, maybe a little more than that, the entire Democratic Party has been using the terms and the ideas, hey, you can't run because you're not experienced. And now they were obviously attacking Trump, but this is a double standard. I have an issue with this. Have one consistent standard that stands the test of time. So right now we have this guy. It's like, oh, look, we're in the Joe Biden. There's a coronavirus. We don't have to talk about that. There's issues happening locally in Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh. Don't have to talk about that. Hey, Joe Biden, we have some difficult questions. Don't have to talk about that. Hey, Biden, you're being accused of rape. Don't have to talk about that. Hey, Biden, are you going to pick Michelle Obama? You know, the wife of that really popular black guy. And again, I'm not trying to, it's very hard to talk about this as someone like myself because I'm making the point that the Democrats don't care at all about black or white. They're just pandering to who will still end up giving money and everything. So the reason that they're going to pull up Michelle Obama, is, again, hey, that guy used to be Obama's VP. Maybe Michelle Obama is pretty popular. They're literally just picking people that they think will help them win the election. That's all this is. Let's see what Joe Biden has to say.
If she said to you she'd be willing to be your running mate, would you ask her?
Oh, I'd take her in a heartbeat. She's brilliant. She knows the way around. She is a really fine woman.
Well, I could interpret that comment in a whole host of different ways. I'm sure going to choose to ignore it for now. But this is, again, the point. The reason that Biden would entertain Michelle Obama is not because she can technically accomplish anything or any of the things that they said Trump couldn't do. It's because she's popular. This is literally high school prom happening all over again. Joe Biden's looking for someone popular to go with him and blah, 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 blah. I don't think it's right to enter into politics because you're the spouse of someone who is in politics. I had the same issue with Hillary Clinton, how she went from president's wife to senator. That's an issue for me because it means that I have to question, would you have gotten there on your own? Or was it because you had favors and connections, which is really terrifying because another way to say favors and connections is you owe people a lot of stuff because they have to get into that position. They lent you the money to run for that position. So if Michelle Obama, which, by the way, I don't think is a reality that will actually happen, fingers crossed, decides to join him on the ticket, what is she? She tried to keep kids from getting overweight. She had a garden. She has some activist experience that she's never going to use under a Biden administration, maybe under a Sanders, but not under a Biden. It's really just saying, hey, look, this person has good numbers. Let's pick that person. It's like picking a TV show on a network. It's not the way you're supposed to run a country. The country should be run by merit. And again, the way that Biden's team is doing this is simply pandering. They don't actually mean any of it. They don't actually want, like, let me flip this around. If this was a case where I somehow knew that they wanted to pick Michelle or Stacey Abrams or Amy Klobuchar or anyone else, and I knew they were like, we're going to put her in charge of this thing, and she's the right person with the right tools, with the right popularity to pass Medicare for all, to pass a federal wage increase, to pass worker safety. But who really thinks that that's the reason that they're picking any of these people? The reality is the people in power are the people surrounding the president and the vice president. It's the cabinet. It's the donors that actually are going to be controlling, well, everything. It's just the exact same way it is with Trump. So whoever you pick, I guess, in that context, if you're not actually running anything and your point of view doesn't matter and you're really just there as a figurehead, why not pick Michelle Obama? It's going to make the same amount of difference, and that's none. It's going to give people false hope. It's going to give people hope that the Democratic Party will come to the rescue. The Democratic Party will save them. And when they don't, they're going to go right back to the Republicans. And next time we might get a worse Trump who isn't stupid, who knows to hold his tongue. I don't know if that's a reality that we're actually going to live with, but this is not the way to pick the second most powerful person in the free world.
There's a lot of work going on in natural gas in the counties in this area, and they use fracking.
Yes.
And so the question, Mr. Vice President, is if you're elected president, would you shut down this industry?
First of all, love the horrible framing. Will you shut down this industry? Will you shut down the restaurants while you're at it? Will you also shut down the hospitals? No, a better way that you might ask that is, hey, natural gas is, I don't know, here. Would you transition to renewables? Would you put wind? Hey, there's this wind here. Look, there's a choice. You can either do this or you can do that. Like, we can go this direction or this direction. No, it's would you just destroy the economy and put people out on the street? That's the question that I'm hearing coming from the older gentleman. And of course, Biden says no.
No, I wouldn't shut down this industry. I know our Republican friends are trying to say I said that. I said I would not do any new leases on federal land. 90% of the leases are not on federal land to begin with.
So there you have it. These are the kind of questions that we get. This is exactly why people like myself do not want to vote for Joe Biden. Biden's like, how dare you accuse me of trying to shut down fracking? That's a Republican trick. I would never do that. Meanwhile, people like myself are like, after you're dead, Biden, there's going to be a reckoning with the climate that we're going to have to deal with. We're going to have to live through. We're going to have to raise our children in that you're not even going to be there anymore because you've kicked the can down the road. And I don't hear any part of that answer that's like even considers our point of view. None of it. I hear nothing. I hear nothing assisting us. If he maybe answered it like, I don't know, look, we're not going to shut it down. That's a lot of jobs right now. The economy is really, really tough. We're going to try and help maybe diversify energy production. And I know there are some people that I'm going to represent that would like me to go further, but I'm not. At least that would be an acknowledgement that we exist. Just like when that video where someone asked him about Medicare for All after it was 90% popular, whatever it was, in a recent poll, and he just laughed at them. It's comments like these and policy decisions. This is actually policy. He is saying he's not going to do anything for renewable in this case. He's not going to try and diversify the industry. He's just going to close federal land to fracking, which I will remind you, in Pennsylvania, there's 1% federal land, if that, barely any. Only place that is federal land is when you really get further west. And I'm not sure if he's even going to keep that promise. Are you? If he was pushed against a wall, or get really the people behind him, if they're pushed against a wall, land's going to get opened back up. He's going to say situation change, blah, blah, blah. But I hear nothing in that response that says, hey, people who are worried about voting for me, I'm listening.
But I would just make sure that it was being made sure by your governor as well that methane is not escaping, the water is not being contaminated.
Yeah, Obama literally said the same thing and did absolutely nothing. I did a report, I feel like 2 or 3 years ago, that was talking about how technically natural gas is cleaner than coal and oil, which isn't really saying that much. The problem is that methane molecule per molecule is far more, like 60 times as devastating for the atmosphere as CO2, which is the majority byproduct of regular fossil fuels. And it turns out that there's like about 7% leakage. If there's some number around there, 7% leakage, something like that. In the natural gas pipeline in the entire process, if overall less than 93% or less is captured and used, it actually produces more pollution than coal and natural gas. So all that being said, Obama couldn't stop it. Obama really didn't try and stop it. Obama pushed fracking. Hillary Clinton pushed fracking. Look at this. They're connected. Pushing fracking. Now, do we really believe that the people that give these guys money, who a lot of which are, of course, going to be natural gas producers, are going to stand for any laws or regulations that would actually and truly ensure that this leak does not happen? No. No, they won't. So this is something that he is, again, saying, but has no intention of backing up. And that goes by the history of the policy he has been a part of.
But I would not shut it down, no.
And there you have it. Donald Trump is on TV every single day. His numbers are going up. People's confidence is going up. Looks like he's in charge. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is getting the most tacit of interviews with the most pre-planned questions from his basement bunker at his home, surrounded by a team of people who are deciding for him what he should be doing as he falls apart mentally. This is going to backfire on the Democratic Party either way. If in some weird reality that they're able to beat Trump, which is still a possibility, let's be real, this guy is going to be such a disappointment and do so little. In fact, he's going to do a lot of what Trump's doing. And all those people with those brunch signs are going to go back to sleep, and everyone's going to pretend everything's fine. And I worry about the outcome of that and how that affects the country. Because, let's be real, the legacy of Barack Obama is Donald Trump. Obamacare is more or less gone. It's falling apart. It didn't stand anywhere near the test of time. Now, you can say, hey, the Republicans this and the Republicans that, and you're right, but it's also irrelevant. A good president builds lasting foundations in institutions, and Obama didn't do that. He was afraid to fight in just about every circumstance, and he gave the Republicans just about everything they wanted. Biden will do the same thing. Biden will do the exact same thing. And again, it's not even Biden that's going to be president. It'll be the advisors around him, the money people. No different from Trump. We're swapping out one person accused of sexual assault with another. They're effectively the same person. The real difference is Trump has a potty mouth. Ooh, that really gets under the skin of a lot of wealthy Democrats. And so here we are in a race where I don't think we're going to hear anything about climate change. We're not going to hear anything about Medicare for All except as a joke that people laugh at. We're not going to hear about safety conditions. We're not going to hear about worker unions. We're not going to hear about co-ops. We're not going to hear about increasing the minimum wage. No. We're going to start hearing more and more about skin color that has no backing and no policy behind it. And we're going to hear a lot of, no, you said a bad thing. 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 And this is the most powerful country in the history of the world, everyone. This is the best we can do. I'll see you on the show.